Coming at you full-fledged. It's your boy Regg with another video for y'all, man. Welcome, YouTube. And we're gonna skip the intro in this video, man, because obviously this is breaking news. I'm gonna read an article that I want to read from ESPN that was published at 12:19 this afternoon, and it reads: Boston Celtics great Bill Russell, 11-time NBA champion, dies at 88. Bill Russell, the cornerstone of the Boston Celtics dynasty that won 8 straight titles and 11 overall during his career, died Sunday. The Hall of Famer was 88. Russell died peacefully with his wife Janine at his side. A statement posted on social media read, "Arrangements for his memorial service will be announced soon," according to the statement. But for all the winning, Bill's understanding of the struggle is what illuminated his life. From boycotting a 1961 exhibition game to unmask too long tolerated discrimination, to lead into Mississippi's first integrated basketball camp in the combustible wake of Medgar Evers' assassination, to decades of activism ultimately recognized by his receipt of the Presidential Medal of Freedom, Bill called out injustice with an unforgiving candor that he intended would disrupt the status quo, and with a powerful example that, though never his humble intention, will forever inspire teamwork, selflessness, and thoughtful change, the statement read. Bill's wife Janine and his many friends and family thank you for keeping Bill in your prayers. Perhaps you'll relive one or two of those golden moments he gave us, or recall his trademark laugh as he delighted in explaining the real story behind how those moments unfolded. And we hope each of us can find a new way to act or speak up Bill's uncompromising, dignified, and always constructive commitment to principle. That with one last and lasting win for our beloved number 6. Over a 15-year period, beginning in his junior year at the University of San Francisco, Russell had the most remarkable career of any player in the history of team sports. At UCF, he was a 2-time All-American, won 2 straight NCAA championships, and led the team to 55 consecutive wins. And he won a gold medal at the 1956 Olympics. During his 13 years in Boston, he carried the Celtics to the NBA Finals 12 times, winning the championship 11 times. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver called Russell the greatest champion in all of team sports in a statement Sunday. "I cherish my friendship with Bill and was thrilled when he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I often call him basketball's Babe Ruth for how he transcended time. Bill was the ultimate winner and consummate teammate, and his influence on the NBA will be felt forever," Silver said. A 5-time NBA MVP and 12-time All-Star, Russell was an uncanny shot blocker who revolutionized NBA defensive concepts. He finished with 21,620 career rebounds, an average of 22.5 per game, and led the league in rebounding 4 times. He had 51 rebounds in one game and 49 in 2 others, and posted 12 straight seasons with 1,000 or more rebounds. Russell also averaged 15 points and 4.3 assists per game over his career. Until Michael Jordan's exploits in the 1990s, Russell was considered by many as the greatest player in NBA history. Russell was awarded the Medal of Freedom by former President Barack Obama in 2011, the nation's highest civilian honor, And in 2017, the NBA awarded him with its Lifetime Achievement Award. William Felton Russell was born February 12, 1934 in Monroe, Louisiana. His family moved to the Bay Area, where he attended McClymonds High School in Oakland. He was an awkward, remarkable center on McClymonds' basketball team, but his size earned him a scholarship at San Francisco, where he blossomed. "I was an innovator," Russell told the New York Times in 2011. "I started blocking shots, although I had never seen shots blocked before that. The first time I did that in the game, my coach called timeout and said, 'No good defensive player ever leaves his feet.'" Russell did it anyway, and he teamed with guard Casey Jones to lead the Dons to 55 straight wins and national titles in 1955 and 56. Jones missed 4 games of the 1956 tournament because his eligibility had expired. Russell was named the NCAA Tournament Most Outstanding Player in 1955. He then led the U.S. basketball team to victory in the 1956 Olympics at Melbourne, Australia. With the 1956 NBA draft approaching, Celtics coach General Manager Regg was eager to add Russell to his lineup. Auerbach had built a high-scoring offensive machine around guards Bob Cousy and Bill Sharman and undersized center Ed McCauley, but thought the Celtics lacked defense and rebounding needed to transform them into a championship-caliber club. Russell, Auerbach felt, was the missing piece to the puzzle. After the St. Louis Hawks selected Russell in the draft, Auerbach engineered a trade to land Russell for Ed McCauley. Boston's starting 5 of Russell, Tommy Heinsohn, Cousy, Sharman, and Jim Leskotoff was a high-octane unit. Celtics posted the best regular season record in the NBA in 1955, 56, 57, and waltzed through the playoffs for their first NBA title, beating the Hawks. In a rematch of the 1958 finals, the Celtics and Hawks split the first 2 games at the Boston Garden, but Russell suffered an ankle injury in Game 3 and was ineffective for the remainder of the series. The Hawks eventually won the series in 6 games. Russell and the Celtics had a stranglehold on the NBA Finals after that, going to win 10 titles in 11 years and giving professional basketball a level of prestige it had not had yet before. In the process, Russell revolutionized the game. He was a 6'10", it said 6'9", but he was around 6'10", center whose lightning reflexes brought shot blocking and other defensive maneuvers that trigger a fast break offense into full development. Oh, let me drink some water. My mouth getting dry. In 1966, after 8 straight titles, Auerbach retired as coach and named Russell as his successor. It was hailed as a sociological advance, since Russell was the first black coach, quote-unquote black coach, of a major league team in any sport, let alone so distinguished a team. But neither Russell nor Auerbach saw the move that way. They felt it was simply the best way to keep winning. And as a player coach, Russell won 2 more titles over the next 3 years. Their biggest opponent was age. After he won his 11th championship in 1969 at age 35, Russell retired, triggering a mini rebuild. During his 13 seasons, the NBA had expanded from 8 teams to 14. Russell's Celtics team never had to survive more than 3 playoff rounds to win a title. If Bill Russell came back today with the same equipment and the same brain power, the same person exactly as he was when he landed in the NBA in 1956, he'd be the best rebounder in the league, Bob Bryant, a former Celtics beat writer for the Boston Globe, told the San Francisco Chronicle in 2019. As an athlete, he was so far ahead of his time. He'd win 3, 4, or 5 championships, but not 11 and 13 years, obviously. I agree with that. If you wanted to split his championships even in half, which people want to do, it's still 5.5. So, but 11 and 13 years for that, and that era is obviously remarkable. In the 1959-60 season, the 7'1" Chamberlain. Oh, hold on. I skipped this sentence. Along the multiple titles, Russell's career was also partly defined with his rivalry against Wilt Chamberlain. In the 1959-60 season, the 7'1" Chamberlain, who averaged a record 37.6 points per game in his rookie year, made his debut with the Philadelphia Warriors. On November 7, 1959, Russell's Celtics hosted Chamberlain's Warriors, and the pundits called the matchup between the best offensive and defensive centers the Big Collisions and the Battle of the Titans. While Chamberlain outscored Russell 30-22, the Celtics won 115-106, and the game was called A New Beginning of Basketball. The matchup between Russell and Chamberlain became one of basketball's greatest rivalries. One of the Celtics' titles came against Chamberlain's San Francisco Warriors team in 1964. Although Chamberlain out-rebounded and outscored Russell over the course of their 142 career head-to-head games, 28.7 rebounds per game to 23.7, 28.7 points per game to 14.5. In their entire careers, 22.9 rebounds per game to 22.5, and 30.1 points per game to 15.1. Russell usually got the nod as the better overall player, mainly because his team won 61% of those games. In the 8-year playoff series between the two, Russell and the Celtics won 7. Russell has 11 championship rings. Chamberlain has just 2. I was the villain because I was so much bigger and stronger than everyone else out there, Chamberlain had told the Boston Herald in 1995. People tend to not root for Goliath, and Bill back then was a jovial guy, and he really had great laugh. Plus, he played on the greatest team ever. My team was losing and his was winning, so it would be natural that I would be jealous. Not true. I'm more than happy the way that things turned out. He was overall by far the best, and that only helped to bring out the best in me. After Russell retired from basketball, his place in history secure, he moved into broader spheres, hosting radio and television talk shows, writing newspaper columns on general topics. In 1973, Russell took over the Seattle Supersonics, then a 6-year-old expansion franchise that never made the playoffs, as a coach and general manager. The year before, the Sonics had won 26 games and sold 350 season tickets. Under Russell, they won 36, 43, 43, and 40 games, making the playoffs twice. When he resigned, they had a solid fan base of 5,000 season tickets and a team that reached the NBA Finals the next 2 years. Russell reportedly became frustrated over the players' reluctance to embrace his team concept. Some suggested that a problem was Russell himself. He was said to be aloof, moody, and unable to accept anything but the Celtics' tradition. Ironically, Lenny Wilkins guided the Seattle to a championship 2 years later, preaching the same team concept that Russell had tried to instill unsuccessfully. A decade after he left Seattle, Russell gave coaching another try, replacing Jerry Reynolds as coach of the Sacramento Kings in the early 1987-88 season. The team staggered to a 14-41 record, and Russell departed mid-season. Between coaching stints, Russell was most visible as a color commentator on televised basketball games. For a time, he was paired with the elegantly blunt Rick Barry and the duo provided brutally frank commentary on the game. Russell was never comfortable in that setting, though explaining to the Sacramento Bee, the most successful television is done in the 8-second thoughts and the things I know about basketball, motivation, and people go deeper than that. He also dabbled with acting, performing in the Seattle Children's Theater Show and an episode of Miami Vice. And he wrote a provocative autobiography, Second Wind. Russell became the first black player to be inducted into the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame in 1975, and in 1980 was voted the greatest player in the history of NBA by the Professional Basketball Writers Association of America. He was part of the 75th anniversary announced by the NBA in October 2021. In 2013, Boston honored Russell with a statue at City Hall Plaza. So, my first 16 minutes was that article that is a reflection on the life of Bill Russell. So, me personally, I have Bill Russell as my second greatest player of all time. But if you ever seen my top 10 list, not to make this about myself, the top 3 is interchangeable. And like this article said, before Michael Jordan's modern dominance of the 1990s that hasn't been seen by a guard ever, Bill Russell was considered the greatest player of all time. So the top 3 is really interchangeable. But man, this is really a really sad day, man. Again, he is the cornerstone of the Boston Celtics and the first ever quote unquote black superstar in the NBA. And I had somebody when I was discussing with someone earlier. Well, I posted on my Instagram story earlier that I had Bill Russell as at least in the top 3 of my NBA of all time. And someone replied, no, but RP. And I told him why. I said, he's the greatest defender of all time, as this article just read. He is the most winningest player in sports history and the NBA. And, I mean, he was the first black superstar. And he said, what does that have to do with anything? And man, how far we've come. Like that meant, I mean, that said a lot. I mean, man, without Bill Russell, how would black players still be looked at? It was the brilliant minds of he and Red Auerbach that led to them trusting him as the leader and the defensive anchor, the first ever real, if you really want to keep it a buck, the first ever point center. You could talk about the Bill Waltons and the Nikola Jokic's and even the Russell Westbrooks to an extent. But the first ever point center was indeed Bill Russell. His career average of, again, 4.3 assists. It might not read off as a lot, but for a center, that's a lot. And especially at that time where assists were kind of really given out harshly. I mean, not harshly, but strictly. Meaning that if it was the pass had to result in an immediate scoring of the ball. So imagine with how lenient the rules are today, how many assists he would be averaging. You know what I'm saying? And just to debunk one of the biggest fallacies in basketball media today, which is how Russell was a very limited. I mean, he was indeed limited on offense, but he was an overall player. His career 15.1 points might not say that, and his 44 percent field goal percentage might not say that either. But when you look at just like Pop Cousy, when you look at the career average field goal percentage of that time, he was above average, and he's averaging 15.1 points with 22.5 rebounds a game, the second highest average of all time, career average of all time in rebounds. You translate that to today, I'm not going to exaggerate, but he's averaging around 24, 25, 26 points a game and around maybe 18 to 20 rebounds a game. If you can up that points by 10 and maybe the same rebounds because it was just as fast at the time. So he was an overall player. And I'm just going to read off his career achievements. He was a 12-time All-Star. Of course, he was an 11-time NBA champion, the winningest player in NBA history and in team sports, 11 and 13 years, 2 as a player coach, the first ever black head coach in Major League Sports in American history, the pioneer, the original, 5-time league MVP. Not that many players in the NBA have won 5 MVPs. Only I could say Michael Jordan, Bill Russell himself, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar have won at least 5 MVPs. And those, crazily enough, are my top 3 players of all time. So, there we go, debunking another fallacy that he would have just been a role player on a team today. I mean, how many players won 5 MVPs? Only 3. So that's another one. He was 1968, 1969, all on the 1968-1969 all defensive team. I assume that was the first one, considering that was his last year. So imagine how many all defensive teams Bill Russell would have been on if the award existed back when he was playing. He would have been a 13-time all defensive player. All the years he played, he would have been on first team all defense. Matter of fact, so he was a 4-time rebound champion. And about that, the thing about that is, the crazy thing about, hold on. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm trying to give out quality for y'all, man, and my mouth get a little dry. Sorry about that. The crazy thing about Bill Russell only being a 4-time rebound champion, for how great he is as a rebounder, again, averaging the second highest career average in rebounds, 22.5, and being the second all-time leader in rebounds. The crazy thing about him only being a 4-time rebound champion is he was losing to Wilt Chamberlain. So again, like the article read, these two were the changing of basketball. They changed basketball, man, and how it was played. Before, you had George Mikan, who revolutionized the center position as well. But before that, before Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, black players were just like role players. And it was a very horizontal game, to keep it diplomatic. But then when they came in, like the article read, it got vertical. His college coach said good defenders never lead a feat. Bill Russell, the greatest shot blocker of all time. You can watch videos. He literally jumping over people, laying the ball up where you couldn't even dunk. He English, pure English, jumping over somebody. So these was Olympic level athletes playing basketball. People have to remember this. This is the beginning of basketball. Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, these Olympic level athletes playing basketball. Today, you got players that done had 1 year of college going straight to the NBA. The comparison not there. Like, I don't understand it, man. I don't understand it. And today, you're going to have people who are rightfully sorrow. But then you also going to have people who are insincere in how they feel about this. Because Bill Russell been disrespected for so long. Like, the real ones know. The real people, the real players, the real educated players, the real educated people who watch the game know how great he is. But you got a segment of people who just like, they think humans evolve. They think humans evolve. We actually been devolving. There used to be giants, and now we got little soy boys out here. Like, are you serious, man? Like, they think humans have evolved. They think science is so grand and can create this superhuman. But I'm not denying how great sports science has advanced for the modern athlete. But man, you look at the conditions these players had to play under. Bro, these players today could not play under the conditions that those players back then played under. They could not. Do you think James Harden can survive in a league with no three-point shot and you can't do all that stupid-ass dribbling he doing? No. And you have to play defense. No. James Harden. Yes, great players going to be great players. He's a top 75 player. I'm just talking about how the game was played back then. Like, James Harden doesn't play, bro. He has no heart, bro. The intangibles. It's just not about ability, but it's intangibles. He cannot play back then. He would be like a track star or something back then. He could not play team basketball. He would have to be a singular athlete. He would have something like that. Like, man, this man's influence on the game is crazy. Again, four-time rebounding champion, 11-time All-NBA. He played 13 years, so I think the first 2 seasons he might not have had it. Let me make sure. All-NBA? Yeah, probably the first season. Hey, I don't know. 12-time All-NBA. A 1-time All-Star MVP, 1962, 1963, and again, 75th anniversary team. I think he was he in the first 25 years? If he wasn't, he's on the top 50 and the top 75. I don't think he was in the top 25. He might have been in the top 25 too, anniversary teams. But another thing about Russell, man, Mr. Russell was he was a real game changer. Nowadays, you got frauds, and I'm not even going to mention people's names, but nowadays, you got so many frauds that want to be like social leaders, and it's not even to really edify people, and not necessarily in what's right or it's not even to educate people. It's not even to educate people. It's just to indoctrinate them with whatever your ideology is. It's to make money. It's to make yourself look smarter than what you is. It's to make yourself look like a quote-unquote king. But this man really wanted change, bro. Do you know how much hate he got? Bro, you had people defecated in this man's bed where he stayed in Boston. You had Bill Russell really had people spray painting racial slurs on his house, unlike other people that have claimed that has happened to them recently, and we have seen nothing about it to this day in an era where we can see everything. But back then, everybody saw it and did nothing, and he still had to be a championship leader for his team. But today, you can't even have a player can't even play 10 games straight. And they say he couldn't play today. My level of respect for Bill Russell, man, I don't even play basketball. But it transcends basketball. It transcends time, bro. Like, people do not respect history, and I don't understand that. I don't get it, bro. And I'm not trying to make myself seem like I wasn't born in this time. I was born in 1998. I'm of this generation, but my mindset is not physically, societally, of course, I'm of this generation to an extent, but mentally, I'm not. I was raised by elders, and I've had so many other influences in my life where I've always respected history. I wanted to be a history teacher growing up. I mean, for a minute. I don't have the patience to be a teacher at all, but I still have a love for history, man, because it tells you where you learn where you come from history, and you should know, and then you know where you're going. You can't know where you're going if you never knew where you came from, and that's some of our pride. That's so many of quote-unquote black people's problem, bro. And the real people, the real game changers, the real people that they should be showing respect and not quote-unquote reverence for it, man. They don't. They give it to these frauds, bro, and these shills. Like, man, dude, are you serious? Regg, dude, I want you to see this video. Dude, I'm telling you now, fuck you, Regg, bro. Like, I'm so serious, bro. Like, dude is so disrespectful, bro. He's so disrespectful, bro. Like, he really said Bill Russell was playing against plumbers and firefighters as if the NBA, like 20-something years in, was supposed to be a billion dollar corporation as it is today. Like, what are you talking about? Like, dude, you wouldn't even be playing back then. Like, are you serious? Man, Bill Russell, the Bill Russell Finals MVP, man. The Bill Russell Finals MVP. That's one of the ceremonies that's one of my favorite moments in an NBA season, bro. The Bill Russell Finals MVP ceremony is one of my favorite moments of the season. You know why, bro? Because Bill Russell showed every Finals MVP respect, bro, and he didn't seen it all, bro. No matter what position they was on the team, you could have been a role player. You could have been a role player who showed out in the finals like a Kawhi Leonard, or you could have been a chosen one, or you could have been a person who fought his whole career and never got it, but finally got it in the twilight of his career like Dirk. He would always show them respect, bro. And we never gonna get that. And COVID, bro, the pandemic, that ruined the finals, the Bill Russell Finals MVP. Even before this, because he couldn't travel. I think the last real Bill Russell Finals MVP ceremony was with him there was in 2019 with Kawhi won in Toronto. I mean at Golden State. When he was on Toronto, rather. That was the last one, bro. Like, damn, man. Like, and it's the crazy thing. It be players saying this. It be players perpetuating that dumbass shit that give stupid ass fans the bravery to say it. Like, bro, this dude has the Finals MVP named after him, and you have players disrespecting him. How does that make your product look? The NBA is the only league. I don't know about other leagues. I know football do it, but I don't know about other sports leagues. I know boxing do it too. But NBA is one of the only sports leagues that don't respect their history. And it's so dumb to me. Because basketball is trash now. I'm telling you, if you know history, this is the worst era of basketball. And I'm not discrediting none of the players. I'm just saying how the game is played and the intangibles of some of these players. This is the worst basketball that's been played. This is the worst era of defensive basketball. Defensive side of the ball, this is the worst era in basketball. Outside of probably, like, of course, the 50s and the 30s and I don't know about, because basketball been around since the 1800s and probably longer than that, because boxing, all these sports, they come from ancient times. So I'm pretty sure it was an ancient version of basketball. So, but yeah, man. Dude, Bill Russell, man. Wow. Him and Wilt gone now. Sam Jones just passed earlier this year. That's another all-time Celtic gone. At least he got to watch the Celtics make the finals one last time, man. For real. That's what's up. Bill Russell got to live to see the Celtics make the finals one last time after the pandemic. That was a good thing to see, man. The Celtics, they know. Larry Bird came straight in the league. Showing respect. He knew what he had to carry coming in. It was after Havlicek retired at 79. He came in 80. He carried the torch. He showed Bill Russell respect. And you know what's crazy? He acknowledged the history. He acknowledged the dominance. The history. Without the history, how would Larry Bird would have been motivated? Of course, he was a great player, but he got drafted to the Celtics. That bring even more motivation. How would Larry Bird get motivated without knowing the history? Like, I'm pretty sure Jason Tatum get fired up just by playing for the Celtics. Like, this is not... shit don't make sense to me, man. And you know the crazy thing? Some people in the media, players, even 2K... Even 2K do it. You know who a lot of people consider the greatest Celtic ever? Larry Bird. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem if you say Larry Bird, in your honest opinion, is the greatest. But you know, they completely forget. I mean, I kind of have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with it, but I do at the same time. For one, that's your opinion. On the other hand, they completely forget like Bill Russell don't exist, and it's a part. Some of that is a little. It's a little racial. It's racially motivated for sure. That's definitely racially motivated that they don't acknowledge Bill Russell when they automatically go to Larry Bird. The media, some people in the media have perpetuated that narrative as well. And man, it's a lot of foul things, man. It's a lot of foul things that Mr. Russell had to go through, and his wife Janine, she explained it so beautifully, man. Like this man, dude went through his whole life experiencing discrimination of his race, mainly, then how he played basketball, then how he dealt with societal problems, because I'm sure people had problems with that at the time. People in his own community, I'm pretty sure they had problems with that at the time. How he coached eventually, how he commentated, how he talked, how he laughed, how he seemed too aloof, as people say. Then by the very people who got inspired by the people that they grew up watching the game that he played, who were inspired by the people that he inspired. I just want to say, man, I'm not the type to give flowers when a person is gone. And it's going to be quite interesting to see how things unfold over the next few weeks or so. I wonder if people are going to treat Bill Russell like they did Kobe Bryant, because like the two, unlike like Russell, for the most part, Kobe Bryant was not liked outside of his fan base. And even in Bill Russell's case, his fan base didn't like him off the court. They only liked him when he was playing. When he got off the court, even they were calling him slurs on the court. But when they was winning games, it could be a temporary excuse. But in Bryant's case, he was not liked outside of his fan base. He was not liked as soon as he passed. You see, I mean, of course, Kobe Bryant has one of the most fervent fan bases in NBA history, and it's very insidious. But you had people coming out the woodworks doing so much. He had an impact on his teammates to an extent, but you had teammates talking to him as if they were his brother. And, like, you had people who are just doing the most, milking his death. And I've spoke on it before. These people are not regular people, so I'm gonna just leave it at that. But man, they try to make they just go too far, man. It becomes idolatry. They don't know how to respect people and appreciate it and be objective and critical of people's play and their personality and their intangibles. So they just go to the complete one extreme to the other. They go from, well, they're kind of similar. They're actually the damn same. They're parallel. Hating, they go straight from hating. They can't be in the middle of what I just described. They go from hating all the way to worshiping. And just pay attention to that, man, over the next few days, man. Rest in peace, Bill Russell. You are no doubt in my mind, top 3 of all time. You the second greatest player in my opinion. The greatest center of all time. Outside of basketball, man, you an influence on my life unconsciously without me even knowing it. Like, who knows the impact that what you did. I mean, people know, man. People, your peers who are still alive, they know. And they see us today. Look at this 75th anniversary, man. That's a reflection of it right there. And it's not just about basketball. These days where it's not a lot of older, quote-unquote, black men like yourself, I appreciated what you brought to the world, man. Like that article just read, man. You're never wavering. You're never wavering discipline, if you want to call it that. You're never wavering devotion to principle. Like, we don't see that anymore, man, and I just appreciated that. I saw highlights, but man, I really take the good out of these things. I take the meat from the bones, man, and I try to apply it, man. That's what it's called, wisdom, man. It's not a lot of people with wisdom, bro. It's not a lot of people that know things that can be really applied. It's a lot of ideals that be perpetuated. It's a lot of bullshit. It's a lot of misinformation and disinformation. But you can see the real genuine, man. He has something to bring, and that's not going to be here anymore. And you know what? It's people like us and the LDBC to perpetuate it, to keep the history alive, to keep the name, to keep the name, to keep the life behind the name, to keep the intangibles behind the name, the history, all that around. You got the HD TVs, you got the Casino for Life, you got the 2 Raw for TVs, you got the Ticket TVs, you got the Town Biz, you got the Sports and Political page of LB, you got my boy Trey Flocka, man. You got so many other YouTubers. You got the 82 and 0. You got Dime Dropper Podcast. You got Fabian, my boy Fabian. I can't. Sorry, man, for butchering your name, but he knows who I'm talking about, man. All those guys. You got all these guys who really know what they talking about and respect history. They can keep that alive. So don't listen to the media, man. Comment what you think about this video, man. Like, share for others to see. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I drop. If there's a particular video you want me to speak on, hit that link in the pinned comment section below, man. Rest in peace, Bill Russell. You will be missed, man. And I'm out.